I'm currently working on quite a big piece, in that it's a whole horse rather than it's you know, like a huge horse head or something like that. And I'm sort of working on this shoulder area here. I'm going to kind of talk through some of the colours that I'm using, but this video is mostly around why I only use one medium and why I'm really not interested in learning anything else, basically, and why it's okay just to love one medium. So I'll just explain the colours that I've got here, because I'm going to be drawing as I'm talking. So I've got a very bright bay here, and the colours that I've got that I'm using on a regular basis, kind of putting a little bit in, changing, putting something else in, changing, putting something else in. The main base colour is the terracotta, the Faber-Castell terracotta, which is number 186. I'm not very good with numbers. You can see it's not sharp, it's very blunt. I've done the majority of this horse with this pencil very lightly, and I haven't had to sharpen it at all. The other colour that I'm using quite extensively is the Indian red. This is the 192. Excellent colour for bay horses, and brilliant when mixed in with those orangey tones, because you get sort of like a slightly richer burnt orangey type colour. I've got, let's just go through the polychromos first. I've got the Venetian red. This is the 190, like a pinky orangey red. Again, brilliant for all of the different sort of subtle tones within a bay coloured animal, orangey coloured animal. I've then got burnt sienna, which is 283. This is great for sort of these sorts of areas in here where it's a little bit darker, a little bit more not quite as orangey. I've then got my Caput Mortem violet, which is the 263. I guess I'm using a little bit of some, you know, little tiny bits of the brown ochre, the 182. And then we move on. Oh, and cinnamon. So cinnamon is the 189. This is really, really cool for working with the oranges. You work the pink with the oranges and you get a really super, super glow. You can see little bits of it coming through in here. It works really nicely. And then I have a couple of Pablos here. Very scabby looking, actually, before I do that, a very scabby looking pencil that has seen much better times. This is the cadmium orange. This is 111. Cadmium orange is awesome for these very, very bright areas. Not a huge amount of it, but just little bits in these bright areas works really, really nicely. And then I have my Pablos. So the two that I like to use with orangey coloured animals are the, I'm just getting their names up here, the apricot, which is 041, I think, and the granite rose, which is 493. Both of these are really super, super pencils. Again, for bay animals, for working on pastel mat, for smoothing, the apricot for getting sort of some of that lighter area in, and then you can bring the other areas on the top. So they work really, really beautifully in sort of like a situation like this. So yeah, so I just kind of just tend to sort of start scribbling, really, start sort of laying colour down. In fact, I'm going to start with my apricot in here. I'm just going to start to work a little bit into the chest area here, really, really nice and lightly. So yeah, I only use coloured pencils. I have no need or want or anything like that to use any other medium, really. Somebody asked me a question the other day and they said, if you could, I can't use pastels because I can't breathe when I'm using pastels, and I don't really want to have to use great big machines and masks and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't use pastels, and actually I'm not even swayed to put a mask on and draw with pastels. I just love my coloured pencils so much, and I can get so much out of my coloured pencils. I don't need any other mediums, and I don't feel that I get stuck in a rut, or I get to a point where I can't learn anything else. I am learning all of the time. I've been drawing with coloured pencils for 6 years, and I am learning something new every single time I draw a picture. I'm learning something new, or I'm sort of bettering my techniques. And it's that reason, I think, that I really don't feel like I need to learn anything else really at the moment, because all of my time is spent bettering my coloured pencil work. And I do understand that some people like a change, and they like to do this and they like to do that. But I also see it, people sort of saying, oh, you should try different mediums. You shouldn't just stick with one. And actually, I don't agree with that. I think basically you should do whatever you want to do, and you shouldn't feel pressured to try something or do something if you don't want to do it. So for me, coloured pencil is just where it's at, really. It's a medium that is slow. It's a medium that I can get completely and utterly immersed in. So I'm working here on this little shoulder area. It might take me, I don't know, 3 hours to complete this area here, which is probably about 2 inches by 2 inches. It might take me three hours to complete this, 2 or 3 hours. Is that a problem for me? No, because I'm creating this as a commission piece. I've got a price for it. I've got a set price for it. For me, my pricing has increased, so it's definitely, I think this piece is about £1,200 that I'm doing here. But the other side of it is that actually I really enjoy doing it. I really enjoy just sitting, drawing, and being mindful and getting completely engrossed in it. I'm not interested in bashing something out quickly. I'm not saying other people bash things out quickly, but I'm not interested in a speedy, something to speed everything up. It's just not something I'm interested in. I really, really enjoy the slow, sort of methodical, mindful layering of coloured pencils. I like the fact that I can completely control my pencils. I think that's a big part of why I love my coloured pencils. I have very little control over my life, as you all know. My life. So my life has been turned upside down just recently with the addition of the new puppy. And you always forget, don't you, how much work a new puppy is. My poor knees now, from having to go in and out of the garden and up and down all of the steps and everything. Actually, it's probably very good for them, but they're creaking and groaning a little bit. And also having 3 children living at home. They're grown up, and they're going out to work and everything. But you've still got all of the washing to do. You've still got all of the cleaning up to do. And then I've got this new puppy who I'm kind of constantly pottering around after, constantly making sure that I'm keeping an eye on her, because obviously, with big dogs I have to be very careful. It's quite tiring, so I have no real control over that at all. Because they just do whatever they want to do, and the children kind of put whatever they think they've done their washing if they put it in the washing machine. And then I've got to kind of take it out, put it in the dryer and fold it up and blah, blah, blah. I don't iron anymore, but, I've got no real control over that. And the house I'm not a very tidy person, I have to say. The house is clean, but it's not very tidy. And the only place I've got real control over is my pencil. So I can completely control where my pigment is going. I can completely control how everything is looking and what's happening with everything, and I really like that. And I think it probably stems from my background as a graphic designer as well, having total control. I mean, I was very OCD as a graphic designer, which is not actually one of the personality traits that I have. I'm not an OCD person at all. I'm not particular in anything, and I always have that make do attitude. Nothing has to be perfect, but if it's kind of nearly there, it'll do. It'll be fine. With my graphic design, I used to work with a lady who created a lot of statements for catalogues and stuff like that, and she would sit with me as I was creating everything and would measure everything off, and everything was done to a measurement. So it's like 10 mils here, 9 mils here, and everything was perfectly measured. Actually, I really did enjoy that, but it's not really how I work now. It's not I want to get things right, but I want to get things right because I want them to look real. And I will carry on going. So shoulder here, I really want to get the idea of this point of the shoulder. So we've got this little knobbly bit coming out here. And we've got sort of like the point of the shoulder. Well, this is the point of the shoulder, and then we've got the actual shoulder coming down here. We've got a little bit of vein coming through in here. Now, what's going to make this look really realistic isn't me putting hair details in, and isn't me putting lots of veins and everything in. What's going to make this look really realistic is if I get all of the little nuances of the muscle underneath the skin, and that comes from just slightly darkening of pigment, slightly lightening of pigment, slightly changing, and that's how you're going to get the muscle looking correct, not because you've put every little bit of hair in. You've got to get the structure correct, and the structure comes from getting all of that lovely, the value in and the shadow in, and getting sort of like the idea that the animal is 3D, rather than sort of flat on the paper. And that's what I spend all of my time doing, is tweaking those little bits. If I get it to a point where I'm like, yeah, that's looking like it should do, and it's looking like it's popping out of the page, that's where I stop. My attitude isn't, I have to get this perfect, I have to get this exactly as the photograph. That's never ever my thinking. And with my coloured pencils, I can do that. I can layer really, really nice and gently, coupled with the fact that I use a fabulous surface that allows me for lots and lots of layering if I need it. That is kind of a match for me. It's a match made in heaven. Polychromos and pastel matte board, total and utter match made in heaven. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful combination to work with, because you can get all of this lovely softness, you can get all of the beautiful layers. And like I say, every single time I work on a piece, I'm learning something completely new. I'm learning sort of how my pencils work even better. And for me, it's lifelong learning, isn't it? Because you push yourself, you decide you want to do this. You might decide you want to do backgrounds. You might decide you want to do a different subject. So, if I was to say, I started to do oils and I really enjoyed them, but I didn't enjoy them to the point where I would take time out to use them. I would prefer actually to spend any free time I've got using my colour pencils, because I am so passionate about them. I don't want to mix them. I can't mix them with pan pastels because I wouldn't be able to breathe, but I don't want to mix them with pan pastels. I don't want to. I think even if I could use pastels, I wouldn't use them. Personally, I don't like the feel of them on my fingers. They make me go all funny. And I really love pure colour pencil. There's nothing better than a pure, just pencil on paper and nothing else. I don't use OMS. Again, I tend to be, I think I'm a little bit sort of delicate when it comes to that kind of thing. I'm not a delicate person at all. But I don't use the odourless mineral spirits at all. I had a terrible reaction with an awful product called Zest It. And I literally thought I'd had a stroke. It was absolutely horrific. And if it does that to me, because I've got my dogs in my studio, I worry what it would do to my animals. So I don't use anything like that, and I have no need for it. I can create a piece that's beautifully blended, got loads and loads of depth and gorgeousness in it. I don't need any of these things to help my pencils blend. My pencils will blend beautifully on their own, just using techniques. So I guess you would call me a purist. I don't have a problem with other people using it. It's not, but it's not how I teach, and it's not what I use, because I just think these little sticks of magic are perfect on their own, basically. And again, it is why I don't need to use anything other than coloured pencils. Sometimes people have mistaken my work for using pastel or, something like that, which, is fine. I think particularly when I work on the dark grey, I think that the coloured pencils can come out a little bit sort of, I guess because they think how does somebody get so much richness and detail and everything into a piece? Oh gosh, it must be pastels. And I think people really, really underestimate the power of colour pencils and how much you can get, from these little, I mean, they're hard, they're dry, particularly the polychromos, I think are my favourite pencils. Again, I'm a very loyal person, incredibly loyal person to anything and anyone, that I kind of put my loyalty to. My colour pencils I'm so loyal to, and I feel guilty when I was doing the oil painting, I felt really guilty. I feel really odd trying to talk about my favourite pencil, but I think the pencil I couldn't work without would definitely be the polychromos. If somebody was to say to me, right, Bonnie, you can only use one brand, which one would it be? It would most definitely be the polychromos, because they're the ones I use the most with my pastel mat. I'd be really sad to let the others go. I'd be really sad to let my Pablos go, and really sad to let my luminants go. But the polychromos definitely are the ones that I use the most of. And I don't think I've got nearly enough, or I don't think I'm nearly there yet with my skills and my development with my pencils. I think I've got a way, way, way more to learn and to give, and I'm just so loyal to them. I just absolutely love them, and I don't really want to use anything else. And that it's not because, I am lazy, but it's not because I'm sort of scared of learning. I think I don't have a huge amount of time. And the time that I have got, I want to dedicate to a medium that I absolutely adore, and I want to get better and better and better at. For my development, I'm very, very much a person who works on my own self-development. So I buy courses, I go to, I join webinars for all sorts of different things, not necessarily with my drawing. It's mostly to do with mindset and business and all of that kind of thing. I love a business course, absolutely love a business course. And I've taken a couple now, invested quite a lot of money in them. And then I sort of share what I'm learning with my students, which and it's enabled me to create a business that's sustainable and is very successful. And that's all through being totally and utterly passionate about one medium. Changing the subject just a little bit, but if you're planning on creating a business, or you're wanting to create a business around something, the best way to become really successful is to niche down. Really, really look at who your audience is and what it is that you're providing. One of the things that when I'm doing my colour pencil portraits, and I'm doing my commission work, I only give, I think, 3 or 4 sizes, and I only do coloured pencil. I've seen quite a lot of people start to give miniature portraits. I've seen quite a lot of people start to give graphite portraits. I'm not sure what the business sense for that is. My thinking is it's more of a heart decision, in that and it's a lovely decision, in that people can't afford my big portraits, so I'm going to give them little portraits. As a heart decision, that's lovely. As a business decision, it's not a good decision at all, because actually, a little tiny portrait still takes quite a lot of time. You're not getting a huge amount of revenue from it. So for a business, creating these small little portraits, or ones that are black and white that are much cheaper, it doesn't make sense as a business. As a business, it makes sense to create more larger exclusive portraits on a higher price point, and you do fewer of them so that you can fit other things in between. For me, that makes sense as a business owner, but I completely get it as a heart decision, because you want everybody to have one of your pieces. And this is one of the things that I've really, really started to understand when it comes to my business, is what are good decisions and what are good business decisions, I guess, and what aren't necessarily good business decisions. And I think that again is the difference in someone making a really incredible living from their art and being very, very exclusive with what they do, really, really niche down what they do, and be very specific when it comes to value and what they're giving. And someone who maybe hasn't really sort of created a strategy for their business, isn't really thinking about it with a business head, if you see what I mean. And actually, sometimes it really doesn't matter if you're not overly bothered about creating a business, and it's more of a, when I say a hobby, that sounds really derogatory and rude, and I don't mean it like that at all. What I mean is, if you've got a pet portrait business and you've got it kind of running alongside your main job and you're just earning a little bit more, then and you're happy doing that, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you're struggling to create an art business from your drawings, and you're not making the revenue that you want to be able to pay your mortgage and pay all of your bills and everything with, because let's face it, if you're going to create a business, you want to be able to pay all of your bills from it, and you want some left over, and you want to create you want to have a lovely life, and if that's what you're wanting to do, then going down the giving all sorts of different cheap options and everything isn't I don't think is a very good decision to make. So completely gone off track there, because I'm kind of talking about me and my love of coloured pencils, but I think that the niching down is kind of part of that. My teaching as well, I only teach coloured pencil. Now I know there's a very, very prolific artist who has got a huge following on YouTube, and she does coloured pencil, but she also does an awful lot of other mediums. But the things that she really pushes, and she puts adverts out for, and she's made courses and everything for, are coloured pencils. So she's kind of niched down into that in that respect. But when you teach, for me, people start to know you for what you do, and for me, it's coloured pencil. People know me for coloured pencil teaching. I'm not interested in teaching any other medium. I think you spread yourself a little bit too thin. You're kind of trying to be everything for everyone, and it ends up just being, well, for me, it would just end up being just, too much. It would be overwhelming. So I teach what I love, and then I can give the absolute best, to all of my students. It's funny, you don't see. So I used to follow a brilliant watercolour artist, Louise Damasi. She's got a huge following, and her portraits are just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. She teaches watercolour. She teaches in her own style. That's her niche. She doesn't teach watercolour and acrylics and blah, 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 blah. She teaches watercolour, and she has got a huge following. She's got brilliant Patreon, and from doing one medium, you don't need more than one. And I think, I hear, oh, I'm a bit bored about this. I'm bored with this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And actually, the boredom comes from almost not giving something enough time. I used to know this brilliant artist who really, really wanted to succeed and wanted to be, to teach and be, he wanted to be like, Patreon and teaching, and he was really good. He was a really, really good artist, but he wouldn't give it time. And he'd give like a couple of weeks, and he'd be like, this isn't working. And I was like, well, you need to leave it. You need to kind of work with it. And no, I'm going to start doing something else now. I'm going to teach pastels. I'm going to do pastels. So then all of the pastels came in. Give it a couple of weeks. This isn't working. And I was like, you can't just give something a couple of weeks. You've got to, if you're trying to teach somebody, you have to become the person who people know you for. So it's going to take months. It's not just going to take weeks. No, I'm going to try something else. You know, and eventually he just stopped because it wasn't working, because he wasn't getting immediate gratification. He wasn't getting all of the students that he wanted straight away, and it doesn't work like that. You know, I've been using my colour pencils now for 6 years, and it's the only medium that I've been using. And when I first started using my colour pencils, I would share. I'm a very open person. I like to share stuff, but I would share all sorts of different things. I'd share techniques that I was learning. I'd share, you know, something that had worked really well for me. I'd share that, and it got to the point where people were, you know, asking me questions and going, oh, Bonny Snowdon's, you know, she'll tell you because she shares everything. And I didn't do it on purpose. It wasn't part of a big, you know, plan. It was just naturally what I do. And that actually worked hugely in my favour. I'm not rubbing out, by the way, here. I haven't made a mistake. I'm creating a little bit of highlight. And that then enabled me, when I started my Patreon, to have like 200 people join me in the first week, because they already knew what they were getting, you know, because they'd kind of been following me, and they saw all these little tips and everything that I was giving in all of the posts that I put out there. So they knew exactly what they were going to be getting. And that's, for me, that's a really, really important part of anything, is being very open, sharing, giving stuff away for free, you know, when you first start out, because that way, you know, you gain people's trust, you gain people's loyalty, all of that kind of thing. So that's sort of how I did it. But I never wavered from what I was doing. It was coloured pencil. It was always coloured pencil, you know, and that's what I'm known for. I'm only known for coloured pencil. I'm not known for anything else. And for me, that's an awfully big part, I think, of my success. Because if people want coloured pencil, if people want to learn coloured pencil, then, you know, there are some really, really other great artists out there that teach coloured pencil. But if they want to learn in the style that I teach, then they'd come to me. They wouldn't be looking at me for doing anything else. I've been asked to do, you know, oh, can you do some graphite? I'm not interested in doing graphite, to be honest. I'm just not. You know, I've got so much more to give with my coloured pencil. If you want graphite, then go to a graphite artist. It's not something that I'm going to be doing anytime soon. So yeah, it's for me. It's been a really, really important part of my growth. Sticking with something, being patient. I think a lot of us struggle with patience and wanting things. I mean, to be honest, the world as we live in now, it's all about instant gratification, isn't it? It's all about now. You know, if I order like I've just ordered some stuff this morning, and it's going to come in 3 days, and I'm like, 3 days? No, I want it tomorrow. Amazon will come out in 3 hours. You know, and that, I think, is one of the main issues that we all sort of struggle with, you know, at this point in history, really, because we all want everything to happen right now. If you're watching a series on TV, I've been watching a series, oh my goodness, it's on Apple TV. It's the most fantastic thing. It's called Bad Sisters. It's finished now, but it only came out on a Friday. So I had to wait all week. but you know, and actually it was really nice. That's how it used to be. We used to have to wait to see what was going to happen, you know, rather than sort of binge watching everything. And I think with colour pencil, there isn't that instant gratification. You have to work to get where you want to be. And that's what I absolutely love. The fact that I'm sitting here and being completely and utterly engrossed in what I'm doing. And that's Vinny now's come in for a drink. I'm being completely engrossed in what I'm doing, and I'm just loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. And I've got so much more to learn. you know, and to give and to share and everything. I think the only other part of what I do that I'm really interested in and I really want to share with people is the business side of stuff. I think I can be really helpful for people wanting to grow their business, because I've grown mine. You know, my business. I'm not sort of one to sort of go, oh, you know, my business earns this much, blah blah blah. And actually, there's nothing wrong with that, and there's a bit of a stigma with that. I follow a fantastic woman who she's a businesswoman, and she shares all of her tax returns. You know, not all of them, but she'll go, this is how much I've earned this year, this is how much I've paid in tax, this is how much I've paid on blah 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 blah. And for me as a business owner, that is just the most fantastic thing to see, absolutely fantastic thing to see, because I can aspire then to be, I mean, she's got a multi-million pound company. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, but I can aspire to that, you know. A business for me is, I'm not quite as passionate in business as I am for my coloured pencil, but I am quite passionate in business and improving my business and growing my business. And I honestly think that what I've learned over the last 6 years with all of these different things that I've invested in me and with the people that I've been working with, I really, really feel that I could be incredibly useful for people who are wanting to grow their creative business. And I started doing some one-to-one calls with people, and the problem is that to be able to get, well, you'd have to have quite a few of them, and they're not really a viable thing to do for growing a business, because you've then, or helping as many people as you can. So my thinking is that actually I probably will start to do some group calls and group sessions with people who want to grow their business, who want to really, really look at, you know, and I'm talking 6-7 figures here. You know, if I can do it, I'm not the 7-figure bit yet, but it's coming. Which is incredibly exciting. For me as a business person, that is incredibly exciting to think that I could take a little art business, well, it's not a little art business anymore, but an art business, and make £1 million, you know, a year from that. That is a really, really exciting prospect for me. And there might be some of you sitting there at the moment thinking, oh, she's just, you know, money grabbing, whatever. I'm not money grabbing at all. I've actually had a very, very bad relationship with money in the past, and I'm getting much better at it now. But I know how to run a business to make a living from it, because I've done it. And it's the most brilliant feeling to be able to do what you love every single day and help other people do it as well. And that, you know, if I was going to do anything other than coloured pencil, that's what it would be. It would be to help other creatives to get to a point where I am now. And that's really, really exciting for me. So I think it's just going to be coloured pencils and business. I think that's just going to be what it is. You know, but yeah, I just love these little sticks of magic. I absolutely do. I think they create absolute brilliance. You know, if you give them enough time and you trust them and you trust you can create the most amazing artwork. But it does take time, and it takes belief in you. You know, that mindset, that good old mindset again, takes you know, to believe that you can actually do it. And anybody can do this. It's not, you know, it's not specifically a talent I have. I think I've got a little bit of something in there, you know, particularly when it comes to colour and feel. I do think I have got sort of like a natural tendency for this kind of thing, but on the most part, it's about passion. It's about, you know, having a real passion for what I do. And I think if you have a passion for anything and a want to do it, you know, regardless of whether you've got enough time or anything like that, you can do it. Time is a whole different thing, isn't it? Probably a different video. We all have exactly the same amount of time in each day. Some of us choose to put more time aside for what makes us sing, and some of us don't quite, well, they haven't quite got there yet. I will leave things like cleaning and and washing, not washing myself, but washing, you know, clothes. I'll leave all of that mundane stuff, and I will prioritize my time over that, because that then means that I'm a much nicer person, and I'm a much happier person, and you know, I don't want to live my life just feeling that I'm bogged down with having to got to do all of these, you know, and you know, you might be sort of sitting there and going, well, you know, well, who else is going to do them? Well, yeah, absolutely, who else is going to do them? But, you know, you don't have to do them all of the time. I think a lot of the time we procrastinate, and we do stuff that we don't actually need to do, you know. But I'm quite good at that. I'm quite good at dropping stuff that, you know, and I'll just do it all in one go quickly, and then get on with my drawing, which is lovely, with my gorgeous pencils that I absolutely love. So probably another load of waffly waffle, you know, with not a huge amount of, I don't know, sense going on in there. But, you know, if anything, you can just turn the sound off and just watch me drawing, I guess. But in conclusion, I love my coloured pencils, and I don't feel any need at all to do anything other than my coloured pencils, because I still have so much more to learn.